What are the biggest takeaways from Creo 7.0? Let's talk about that now. All right, so what are the biggest things to look out for in Creo 7.0, and what are the implications there? Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe or follow to get more reviews of solutions like this. But also, this ties pretty directly into a series that we're developing, we're going to be releasing here soon on the trends that are reshaping mechanical design or reforming mechanical design. You know, I fundamentally see some big changes on the horizon for mechanical design. This kind of plays into it. But let's talk about Creo 7.0. So first off, generative design capabilities, and actually real-time generative design capabilities. And this comes from the integration with Ansys Discovery Live. Basically, what you can do is you can set up your constraints. You can set up kind of the objectives that you want for your generative design effort. Constraints and manufacturing constraints, design constraints, geometry constraints. There's a lot you can set up. But then you can watch in real time as the design will morph and change on your screen. And you can stop it. You can basically pause it or have it continue. So there's that's a really interesting capability that's now embedded directly within Creo, right? So you don't have to go out to Discovery Live, kind of do data translation back and forth. So the integration is nice that way. Staying within generative design, they also have new functionality with respect to using a dashboard and automation. So you can set off a number of runs for this to generate different design options, and you can track that using graphs and through a dashboard. And that actually leverages cloud computing capabilities. So those are all really interesting capabilities. So that's the first thing. The second thing has to do with lattice geometry and lattice modeling. So what this lets you do is you can define kind of a shape that you want to fill a volume with. You can define its orientation. You can actually vary the density of this shape within the volume according to formulas or equations. And this gets into, actually in our other series, we talk about it as micro modeling as opposed to macro modeling, kind of the bigger shape. But this micro modeling capability is actually going to be pretty crucial going forward, both in terms of today you see it with lattice in Creo 7.0, but it's also going to become really important with multi-material modeling as well as varying material properties. But we talk about that in the other series. The third thing that's really interesting, and it might have kind of slipped under the radar a little bit, I don't think people kind of recognize what's going on with it, but multi-body parts. And the idea here is you can define multiple volumes within a single part. And then you can apply different modeling approaches or activities around that. So you can select one volume for a generative design run. You can select a different volume for the application of lattice or micro modeling. So let's take a quick look at that. So here is a real quick and simple example where you have multiple volumes for the same part, and maybe for the boss that we have here, we want to apply lattice modeling. You know, it's going to be filled with these little shapes and have lots of air gaps, and which means you'll probably have to use 3D printing for it. And over here, we want to use a generative design approach for the rib and really get kind of an optimized shape for that application. So this is a real simple example, right? But you can imagine much more complex parts and using different modeling approaches and activities for different parts of it. And what's fascinating about that for me is this really can lend itself to part consolidation. You could have one very large part, part of it a section of that part is composed of lattice structures. Another section has this wildly organic shape that is really optimized for the application it needs to be used for. Okay, so that rounds up kind of the big takeaways that I had with Creo 7.0. There are lots of enhancements. They invested a lot of money in developing this new release, and there's lots of new capabilities in all sorts of different areas. Model-based definitions and model-based enterprise is one of those. They have lots of new capabilities there. But these were kind of the three that I saw kind of coming together. Enhancing generative design, especially with real-time stuff. Then using lattice capabilities, this micro-modeling type of approach. And combining that with multi-body parts, I thought was kind of this convergence that maybe a lot of people might not have recognized. So that's it. That takes care of our review of Creo 7.0. Don't forget, if you want more guidance on technology-led initiatives or more reviews of solutions like this, make sure to subscribe or follow. And that would include our new series focusing on the trends that are reshaping mechanical design. Talks about macro modeling, talks about micro modeling, talks about material properties. Those three areas are going to be making a big impact. That's it. Take care and talk soon.